I am Neil Singer from Vielle. I'm based in London, and I am the guy who set up the Vielle network and Click to Purchase, and we'll explain all that to anyone watching in a minute. You guys, who are you?
Hi guys, all of you that have joined us, thanks very, very much. I'm Lance. We are I work for Empact now, and we're very fortunate to have been able to tie in with Neil and this remarkable platform, which is part of Vielle, and we created SAPX now about 7 months ago, I think it was, that we actually went live.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're here and we're going great guns, which is very, very fortunate.
Okay.
Hi all, I'm PJ Muller. I'm working with Lance at Impact. Yeah, we're very excited about the sales that we're starting to conclude and looking to add a lot more property to the platform and facilitate a lot more property deals.
Good. Okay, so the idea of today for everybody who's watching is that you can participate in the conversation. This is not a one-way webinar where we're going to just throw facts at you. What we wanted to try and do today was to explain what the SAPX platform is, to give people a chance to ask questions. Now, you can ask questions in a number of ways and do so at any time. And if I or Lance or PJ will try and answer. You can do so by either, if you look at the bottom of your screen, it says chat. You can either enter a chat. Oh, they've been trying to get hold of you for ages. There you go. You've already had the first one, Adam. So you can either put a comment in and everybody will see it under the chat box, or you can actually put your hand up. You'll see it says raise your hand. If you raise your hand, I can actually invite you to come on screen, and if you're brave enough, you can actually come on live on a camera and you can talk to us. So you can. It's very easy to interact with us and actually ask questions about what we're doing. So what I'll do, let me give you some, I'm going to whisk through quite quickly because this is really about.
Please, Neil, because I know how much information you have on your platform, and you'll lose us South Africans if you keep going.
No, I'm going to be quiet. We're going to whisk through it. And we're going to. I'll explain what we're doing. So let me just give you the background for people who are watching. So I've been in the property game for over 25 years. No, I hear you say, because you don't look old enough, but I've been in the game for over 25 years. I've been selling properties in London, like every other real estate agent in London. 2006 went online before the word website was even heard of, just as a way of winning business. And we very quickly discovered that online was a very powerful medium for selling property. And we moved from the whispering in your ear approach to selling property to a mass marketing approach, high level presentations online. So we created a platform which evolved through a number of iterations to be singerviellesales.com, which is something I'll show you in a moment. And it worked tremendously well in the lead up to the financial crash. After the financial crash, we discovered that the buying audience had changed dramatically and really had become international. And we had built a sausage machine online for selling properties and exposing it to the international audience. That gave the inspiration to launch our second platform called Click to Purchase, to provide a means whereby somebody could buy properties online. When we launched it, we had no idea if anybody would actually buy a property online. And many people said nobody will buy buildings online. We're £300 million worth of property sales down the road now, where people go online, make an offer and exchange contracts with us online. We're the only business in the UK where you can buy buildings online. We think we're the only business in the world where you can buy buildings online. I'll come on to Click to Purchase in a minute. 2017, we then went into the world of blockchain technology. We did so to add a level of security and trust to our platform. You may have heard the word blockchain thrown around many times by many people. About 3 or 4 years ago, there was a tremendous hype with companies trying to raise money to launch blockchain businesses. 99% of those businesses have disappeared. We actually were successful because we had a real reason for using blockchain technology, which I'll come on to in a minute. I built up various business connections in South Africa. I was fortunate enough to link up with Empact Group in December. I think we signed our deal in December, didn't we, guys? And we basically have delivered to South Africa everything that we have spent 15 years learning in the UK. We're also open in Ireland and in Scotland. So what we try to do as a business is to expand our network and to share with others our knowledge and our technology. And that's what we've given to South Africa. So as far as I'm aware, South Africa now is one of the few places where you can transact and market properties online, et cetera, it's worth my while very quickly. And guys, PJ, Lance, do jump in at any time. If you have anything,
I think it's just a quick thing to note there, because we're obviously going to get to click to purchase, Neil, is that South Africa is still very much a geographical area where you do still need a wet ink signature. So we adapt the click to purchase accordingly.
Yes.
When we're in that section of the chat.
Yes, I mean, what I would, yes, I'll come on to that. I will come on to the wet ink signature. What's clear, and I will explain that, is the world is moving to digital signing of everything. I can only imagine that the South African system will change. I would imagine the Alienation of Land Act will change because it has to. Otherwise, you'll be behind the world. So I don't know why there's that slight blockage. But anyway, we can come on to that later. Let me share, if I may share a screen with everyone, just so I can very quickly demonstrate what I was talking about. This is the Vielle marketing platform in the UK. Where we basically, it is a place you go if you want to actually buy property. It's really that simple. This is our click to purchase platform, which I'm going to come on to in a minute. This is the South African business. So South Africa is now marketing properties in the same way that we do in the UK. I thought what I would do, guys, if you agree with it, I would very quickly show the quality of how our marketing works in the UK, and then you can tell the audience what we have achieved so far in South Africa. I thought that'd be a good idea. Do you think is that a good idea?
Good idea.
What we realized in 2006 and between 2006 2009 is that the way the world was changing and information being conveyed over the internet was more powerful than anything else when it came to marketing anything, let alone property. And we were fortunate enough to see that quite early on. So we have two main items or points that differentiate us from everyone else. One, quality of presentation. Two, depth of marketing. If you can't find the buyers, you can't sell a property. It doesn't matter how good your presentations are. If I can show you here, this is just to give you an idea of the quality of what can be produced. This is a property which we sold in Mayfair about a year or so ago. And we provide enough visual information when we're selling a property to allow somebody to make an informed investment decision before they actually go and see it. In fact, we sell to many people all over the world who don't see their properties. And the way we do it is by having professional photographers. We use professional aerial photographers as well as ground photographers. And we are very, very careful in what we do in terms of providing information to people. So it's not rocket science if you think about it. And I would say not until probably 12 months ago did any other agency in the UK start using videos in terms of commercial property sales, which is bizarre in itself. But that's because agents are fundamentally quite lazy. I don't mean to knock my profession, but if they can do something by making a phone call, they will, but that's not the best thing for the client. So this is an example of how we sell. In terms of the depth of marketing, people register on our systems all the time. We have we make it easy for people, and we collect that data so that when we market property, it goes to that database. This particular sale, one of the ways we market is by sending out an email. This is a map showing an example of one of the campaigns relating to that particular property, of people who'd registered on our database and opened the email and then would have clicked through to view the details. Now you can see there are people as far away as India, Japan, Indonesia, there's California. Of course, most people are in the UK, but it does demonstrate the fact that the internet changed marketing for everybody. And the world reach is so important. The next thing I would say is that we work very hard to be highly visible on social media. And I think probably the best demonstration for that is this. This is the analytics. I want to show people that we're not making anything up. This is the analytics behind our YouTube channel. We've had 365,000 videos watched on our website. I mean, I would say that's quite a lot. And again, we can't make those numbers up. So let me just stop sharing for a moment. So in case anyone's got any questions, what we've tried to do as a business is make it very easy for people to understand, we want to interact, to understand what we're selling and to find them. So that's the first thing we do. And we brought that to SAPX. And guys, I mean, this is really, I suppose, where I can show the audience the SAPX, and you might want.
I think just going on from there, Neil, just to talk to the SAPX and the power of this platform, is that perhaps a lot of you know that I come out of high street auctions, and they're remarkable marketers. They really are, and I still believe they're the best auction firm in the country. But that's personal, and obviously I am a little biased. What I have always wanted to try and achieve is an online platform for private treaty sales, because we are not auctioneers. South African Property Exchange, I have to categorically say we don't auction, and it is not our intention ever to auction. But what it has done, and through this link up with Neil, is that we have decided that we will use professional photographers and professional videographers on every single property we market. We are ensuring that the quality of that marketing material that goes to the general public is such that you actually can view the property online. And I think we've achieved that. I think if you look at, and Neil's about to show you some of the stuff we've done, but if you look at the standard of our marketing, it does surpass most of what's on the market at the moment.
It's, yeah, I mean, funny, I would say that you taught us something actually, which is what it's all about. I mean, if I share the screen again, just for people watching, you can see this is I just chose this at random actually, guys. It's fantastic quality. So you can understand, you don't really, I think the trick about marketing from being in the game a long time is there's nothing worse than something, a potential investor or purchaser going to see a property and there's something next door it that's awful that they didn't know about. You're far better off to show it at the beginning. At least they know. So when they get there, they haven't got a surprise. And I think what you've done brilliantly is do just that in the way we do in the UK. So this is an example. I don't even know this property, of course, because I'm not in the South African market. Something in Eglin Road, Johannesburg.
Correct. Yes.
Exactly. And it looks great. So the idea is, why would you need to visit it when you actually have got everything visually there? It saves so much time and energy for investors. So that's what I would say. The other one, this is again, I took this at random. This is another property, Tiger Valley, which I know is another client of yours. And again, I just think this is just an example of the quality of presentation, which I was talking about for the UK, which we've passed on to South Africa. And in terms of the depth of marketing, this is a property email. This is one of the marketing emails which you guys sent out recently to your database, which of course is much more recent than ours. Ours has been going for some years, as you can probably appreciate. But already, this is the world view you've got, which I think is incredible. That you've got of course people in South Africa, but look, you've got a lot of people in America. I don't know how you did that. you've got people in America, and you've got people in Europe. So I mean, so already you've had on one marketing email 1,200 people open that email, which is, and if you look at the countries, look, you've got Italy, India, Luxembourg, Australia, Switzerland. So the key for the audience is that you can't.
I think that was one of the reasons why the link up was so important for us here, Neil, is that I believed that we needed international exposure for our assets. And it's very difficult to do that just on your standard marketing. And with the link up to your platform, we are seeing this international viewing more and more on more of the properties that we're listing as we go forward.
Yeah, and I think for anybody who's considering using PJ and Lance to sell some properties, this, if I can show you, oh, I think I've already shown you. I already showed you. This is an example of the world reach that we've got at Vielle in London. So the idea of our network is that we can expose properties to our database, to the South African database. We've also to the Irish database, and as we expand rather, which is what we're looking to do in new territories, this reach will go further. And
I'd like to add on there, Neil, further that when we send out one of those mailers to our SAPX database, which is direct mailers just to our unique investors that have registered on SAPX, I think what's very interesting is the level of engagement that we have with our investors. We're getting somewhere between a 60 and 70% click-through, which is fantastic. I mean, I haven't heard of that sort of result on a mailer, and we can see it on the traffic on our website that when that mailer goes through, that click-through goes up. So we're trying to engage with our investors on an ongoing basis.
You'll find, sorry, Peter, you'll find that most, if you go and talk to most marketing businesses, they'll tell you that a 5 to 10% click-through is good.
Yeah.
You're getting 50% is fantastic.
Yeah.
So
I think what's great for our clients as well is that they can rely on the fact that if they then click through to Vielle to UK, and if they're looking to do an offshore investment, they get really reliable access to property information.
Similar information, yeah.
Correct, and you can facilitate a transaction for South Africans looking to invest offshore.
Yeah, we've actually sold quite a lot to South Africans over the years. There's no question. So that's really, I would say that's very much the marketing side. The other thing worth showing actually is that a lot of people, when they sell property, they tell the client, we've had this person interested, we've had that person interested, and there's always there may well be a bit of flannel because they haven't got the interest. What we do is we provide a client dashboard, which means that the client has got the ability to log in and see exactly what's happening with their particular property. So if I can demonstrate that for you, again, this is the transparency which you will not get anywhere else. This is a property which, this is what we call the client dashboard. And we give this login to the client. So this relates to a property which we recently sold in a place called Southall in London. And over the period of marketing, the website at Vielle had 81,000 visits, as you can see. And the property traffic for the particular sale, oh, it's not showing for some reason, will be something like probably about 5,000–10,000 views. So what we do is we provide the clients with a direct view of the back end of their system. So if we say we've had X thousand emails opened, if I can show you here, this is 9,000 emails opened. They can log in and they can see. They know all the statistics themselves. We can't make it up. The same thing as SAPX. This is a property in Tiger Valley. I'm not going to show you the actual statistics relating to the particular property, but you can see the amount of traffic that's occurring. This view relates to the overall site, and it shows you the countries, UK, America, UAE, India, Australia. It shows you where the marketing is reaching. So the client can log in at any one time, and they can see for themselves what's happening relating to a particular property, which I think adds a level of trust and transparency which no one else can offer. And again, I think it's quite helpful, provides comfort. So that's the marketing side. Has anyone got any questions for the team? Doesn't look like it. No? Right, should we move on to, okay, so let's move on to electronic execution. Again, let me just give you a bit of background before I talk about it. As I mentioned earlier, some years ago, we had the idea that if we could find the investors, which the marketing site allows one to do, why couldn't we get them to buy buildings online? You can buy everything online, even cars. Why couldn't you buy properties? So we went into a lot of legal research, and we came up with a mechanism whereby a digital signature would be legally binding to enable somebody to buy a property online. And this was 10 years ago. As it happens, the government in the UK is now very much engaged in looking at the way all documents are executed electronically. Very interestingly for me, I'm involved with government in relation to this because of our early work in this area. And the government are trying to find a way of improving the efficiency of not just business, but our day-to-day lives with regard to digital signing of documentation and whether the law needs to be changed. What we've managed to do is find a way to create a legally binding mechanism for people to buy with confidence and speed. So what we did, we created this platform called Click to Purchase. I don't want to blind people with science. The way it works is really quite simple. If you wanted to buy a building that we were marketing in the UK, you first have to be cleared to do so in terms of money laundering. You would enter the platform, you would clear money laundering, the selling agent would allow you to then proceed. If you then decided you wanted to proceed, you would make an offer for the property. It is as if you'd signed a contract and put it on my desk. I would phone up my clients, do you want to accept the offer? They say yes, I press a button, the deal's done. It has digital signatures online with an electronic audit trail of the entire process for comfort and for security again. So we found—
before you carry on, Neil, I think what's very important in South Africa is exactly that. The transparency, the audit trail, and the governance. And that's what Click to Purchase is giving this platform, which I know no other platform is available that has it in South Africa. I think
there really is, again, as far as I'm aware, there is no other platform like it. It is bizarre. I think the reason is it was very difficult to build it. And it took, and we started the process 10 years ago. So you go in tech, you go through various iterations over time. But I will demonstrate to you, I'll show you at high level without delving into the full detail unless people ask. In South Africa, we've done exactly the same thing with a slight change. In South Africa, a digital signature is not legally binding. So what we have done is we've created a slight change to the flow process that we have in the UK and Ireland and Scotland. What happens is when you seek verification to be allowed to buy a building online, you sign a power of attorney. The power of attorney is returned to the agent controlling, to Lance or PJ controlling the sale, so that when you then do make your offer, which is an electronic offer, you're providing them with the authority to physically sign a memorandum of agreement. The memorandum of agreement is signed on behalf of the buyer and the seller by the agent. That is the digital exchange. That's the physical exchange. But what we then do is we then record the whole process, including that signed document, into our system and into our audit trail. So I know that you guys in South Africa, like me actually in London, very much like the way you sell by tender. I like to sell by tender because if you have someone who says they're going to do a deal and they don't, By having a tender, of course, they're putting their money down and they're proving they actually are there to do a deal. And I like the idea of tender because it creates an engagement which I think auctions online don't. People get scared off. What's nice about it is that you end up with a number of people who want to buy a property. They all make their offers online. You accept the highest offer, the deal's done. It's as simple as that. So it does create a very slick system. We are very well known for this process now in the UK. We sell for institutions and receivers and banks, and we've now taken that to South Africa, as well as Ireland, as I mentioned. In South Africa, this is a demonstration property. The difference in South Africa is that this is an example of someone who'd actually exchanged a contract. We create a power of attorney, which is this document. I, the undersigned, am authorized by the bidder to make an offer, etc. This power of attorney document is automatically created when somebody wishes to buy a property online in South Africa. It will be filled in by the particular bidder, returned to Lance and PJ. Lance and PJ would then allow them to make an offer. And if they were to make an offer, let's find the offer. Let's find it. If they were to make an offer and the offer would be accepted, Lance and PJ would physically sign a wet ink version, but then upload that to the system. So you end up with two documents in the system. One is a wet ink document, and two is an electronic document. This is the electronic version. I showed you what it looked like in the UK. This is very similar in South Africa. Seller, buyer, property, amount, digital signatures. These digital signatures, as I said, are not legally binding in South Africa, but they are they create the audit trail. But when PJ and Lance sign wet ink, that is your contract exchange. So what we do in South Africa is we do exactly the same thing as we do in the UK. But what we've done is we've created the electronic audit trail. And we've created the proof and ease. Can you describe the mandate terms you accept? Guys, we've got a question from Adam. Can you describe the mandate terms you accept? I suspect that relates to taking on an instruction.
Yeah, Adam, I think what you're talking to is what our mandated terms would be. We can only, we've made a decision that SAPX can only market and sell property via sole mandate. However, as per the PIC portfolio that we've been fortunate enough to take to market and actually shoot the lights on, we did that on a JV, and our sole mandate sits with ourselves and JLL. So the terms are very much sole based. In terms of commission, that's a negotiation we would have with the seller. We are a seller's premium, a seller's commission payable rather than a buyer's premium. And the mandate is a South African document which we have drawn up with local South African attorneys, and it's very standard. To be honest, it's very, very standard.
Okay. Shall I go on to the last piece of the jigsaw? How long do you need to have a mandate for?
It depends on what the complexity of the asset is. If you think about it, and I'm talking to everyone concerned, the property, when you, in South Africa traditionally, and it's how I bought property in the past, you always put in an offer to purchase it subject to a 30-day due diligence, and then following the 30-day due diligence, more often than not, it's subject to a 30-day finance. What we try and do, sorry, just to add there, for 60 days, then your property actually is off the market because you're allowing the purchaser the time to do his due diligence and the time to actually find finance. What SAPX allows you to do is it allows you to continue to the market the property until such time as close date. So how long is the mandate? We believe that the mandate should be for a period of what we would think a normal due diligence would be, and that's somewhere between 30 to 45 days for the actual sales process. And remember, at the same time, we try and sell unconditional to finance. So we push the purchasers to look at achieving their finance at the same time. We need about 2 weeks to get the photography and the due diligence pack sorted, because we actually need a full due diligence pack in our data room before we go to market. And then we believe, so that's 2 weeks plus another 5 weeks, 7. And ideally you need 2 or 3 weeks just to conclude after the event. So 3 months is a minimum. But what we've seen with the majority of the people that we are engaged with now, our mandates are actually somewhere between 4 and 6 months. Our mandate with the PIC is indeed 12 months renewable. So that's really where we are. Oh, one other thing, sorry. When you contract with SAPX, or when you sell a property with SAPX, I did mention it, but I need to expand on that. The property is on the market for the whole period that the marketing and due diligence is happening by 1, 5, or 10 buyers. So it only goes off the market when we close the sale process and we accept or reject an offer. So what we try and achieve is that whether you come into the process on day 1 of the sales process, or you come into the process on day 30 of the process, you are able, as the seller, to enjoy all of those people looking at your property and potentially giving us an offer before the close date, which you can't do in a normal private treaty environment. The only other thing which I think is very important that I realized from the second phase of the PIC portfolio sale is that because there is no asking price and no prices are disclosed, we are able to achieve a far higher price in some instances than what the market value, what the perceived market value is, or what the seller was expecting. And that's unique, because in normal instances, if you ask for 10 million Rand on a property, no one is going to give you 12 million Rand unless they are smoking their socks, to be honest. In this instance, no pricing is given. So someone can come in at 5 million and someone can come in at 20 million. And indeed, we have had 2 or 3 examples of exactly that, where people's perceived value is what is offered rather than what the asking price is.
I think that tender process and the time that is allowed also means that it's a true reflection of what the market values the property at, which I think we all know is the only real test of value.
Yeah. Barry, I think, so how big is our database? Our database is growing. Bear in mind that we've only been to market for 2 months. So we're at about, I think we're at between 850 and 900 unique investors on the SAPX website at the moment. So they have registered, they are engaged with us, and they are the people that get our updates on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis. And they're the guys that when Neil spoke about the 50 to 60% click-through, those are our investors that are looking. The marketing is paid by the seller.
Can I add to that, actually? One thing, Barry, you must, I'm sure you appreciate, is that the world today allows, if you know how to do it, it allows you to find people who you might not normally find. I mean, that's the world of social media. But as long as you don't get carried away with social media and you know how to engage with it correctly, you will find buyers will come to you. So we work very hard to try and reach markets which would not normally be would not normally be accessible. So, and if you've got a high online presence, which is why I wanted to show you the statistic relating to YouTube, if you have a high online presence, then of course you increase your chances of finding the buyer that the other people may not be able to find. I mean, when on that building actually that I demonstrated earlier, the one in Mayfair. I mean, yes, Mayfair is, of course, London is a particularly attractive location. I was in Switzerland and my phone rang and I didn't recognize the dialing code. I said, "Where are you calling from?" And the guy said, "New Zealand." So we had a guy in New Zealand that found the property which we were selling in London online and was interested. So that's the power. That's why modern marketing of property is completely different to the traditional method of selling by whispering in your ear. So I think that's very much what changes things. Shall I explain the last piece of the jigsaw in terms
let
of...
me just answer those two questions, which refer to the cost of the marketing, Neil. The cost of the marketing is very much, sounds silly, cost driven. So we're looking to cover our photographers, the travel for our photographers, the editing and all of the work that they do. We're looking to cover our boards and various platforms that we are advertising on. But the long and the short of it's somewhere between 20 and 25,000 Rand a property.
If I can give you my feedback from the UK in terms of marketing costs, it's the same. We never speculate marketing costs. We always charge the client the marketing costs. To be honest with you, if the client's not prepared to spend a couple of £1,000 accessing the tools that we provide, then they don't really recognize the value of the service that we're providing, because we will get them more money. And that's why we sell so much property. The last piece of the jigsaw, which I think is very important for South Africa, is blockchain technology. I could go into blockchain in a lot of detail, but I will keep it very simple unless anybody specifically wants to ask. You hear a lot talked about blockchain technology, how it's going to change the world, cryptocurrency, et cetera, et cetera. What we use blockchain technology for is a security mechanism. It creates an additional level of trust for the audit trail. In a nutshell, blockchain technology works whereby data in what's called a block of information, which is held in a public ledger, is reliant upon the information that's preceded it. And as each block gets created, you're always reliant upon the information prior. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail. If anybody changes the information prior, it will change the information at the top of the list. What we do with Click to Purchase is we record the process of purchase in a blockchain ledger. If I can share my screen with you again, this is our blockchain at Click to Purchase. This is again, you would have seen a similar sort of thing. If you actually look up something on the Bitcoin, which is the best known use of blockchain technology, you'll see the same sort of ledger. This is the property example I showed you, a building that we sold recently in Chelmsford, and I showed you the contract note, and on the contract note, which I will download again, you can see here digital signatures. So, for example, when the buyer made their offer, it created a digital signature. It says 412832. In case you can't see it, it is an encryption and what's known as a hash of the information relating to their offer: who, how much, etc. When, what property related to. In our system, here is that signature, which we record, 41283. This is the transaction recorded in our blockchain ledger, 413832. All the signatures, everything relating to that particular transaction is recorded in our ledger. In the ledger, we then record our contract. You can download our contract. Here is our contract. I've just pressed download. There's our contract. 412832 again. What I'm trying to demonstrate, without going into too much detail, is how we create an audit trail of the activity relating to that transaction. If somebody were to hack in for some reason, hack into our system and change from 1 million to 2 million, we would know, because these numbers would change, alerts would be fired, and that's basically the essence of what we do as an security system of blockchain technology. Now, we do the same thing in South Africa. In South Africa, we have, let me find it for you. In South Africa, where's my, please bear with me. Here we go. In South Africa, it's the same thing. This is the demonstration property that I showed you. This is a property, where are we? Here are the ledgers in exactly the same way. This is a demonstration property, Cape Town. Here's the signatures. 7371132. This is the blockchain link, and these are the signatures recorded in the blockchain ledger. So without me going into too much detail, so I don't want to blind people with science unless they actually particularly want to ask. The point about blockchain is there's a lot of hype talked about blockchain, how it's going to change the world, etc., etc. We use it to add a level of security so that when somebody makes an offer and the offer is accepted or they're verified, it all goes into our audit trail within click to purchase, but we then also move it into our blockchain ledger. And we're putting into our blockchain ledger, we have an added level of security and trust, which I think is very important. So I understand in South Africa in particular. No one,
it's critical.
No one's going to, don't get me wrong, when I sell buildings in the UK, nobody comes to me and says, oh, I must buy that building off Neil because he's running a blockchain system with click to purchase. They're oblivious to it. But what it does do is if anybody were to ever challenge and to ever say, I didn't make that offer and I didn't accept it and I didn't really sign the contract, I have got total proof that they did. And if ever it were to go to court or whatever, I have the ultimate proof. And that's what it's all about.
I think for us, where it's very important is where potentially you're selling a property on behalf of a group of shareholders. And what this audit trail through blockchain will give you is it gives you, when you report back to those shareholders that you sold a property for 10 million Rand, there is sufficient scope in the audit trail which will show you that, or show them that you didn't just go to your mate and say, here, buy this for 10 million. Actually, what's happened is that hopefully there were 3 or 4 or 5 offers, and they are all recorded in blockchain, and they can, the shareholders can actually check and balance what you've done as the principal in terms of the sale. And that I think is invaluable in South Africa. I don't think we have that type of governance in the real estate market at the moment. And this is something which you can't fiddle with, which also is a very good thing.
Well, what we are, it happened in the last financial crash. Excuse me, and it's happening again now. We're starting to get instructions from receivers. Do you have receivers in South Africa? Do you know that term? Do you know what a receiver is? A receiver is an auditor, in effect, appointed by the bank to recover their money.
Like a liquidator. A liquidator.
Yes, similar to a liquidator. So we are now starting to get instructions again from receivers and liquidators because, of course, things have been affected in the UK. And the reason they like using us is, of course, they like our marketing and they like our reach, etc. But a receiver in the UK, the person appointed by the bank to get their money back, is personally liable. They're personally liable to the person who borrowed the money from the bank. So if you borrowed £1 million from the bank and the seller of the property only realized 950, you're liable for the 50,000. The bank can come after you. So it's very important that the receiver, who is personally liable, is protected from the borrower saying you undersold my property. Now, the way we do that, of course, is that we have everything in electronic audit trail. When people make offers by tender, for example, you can have 5 offers, 1.1 million, 1.2 million, 1.3 million, whatever. What happens in the marketplace in the UK is that, I mean, this is fact. I mean, I'm not saying anything. People, unless you want, you never buy a building off someone unless you know the selling agent, because the agent controls the process. And if I get an offer from £1 million, I'll tell my pal, you've got to beat £1 million. It's not transparent and it's not accountable, which is why our system is, may I say, so clever, because every offer made is time-stamped, cannot be changed, and is recorded. Indeed, we had a situation on one sale where we had, I think the offer was something like 2 million. We had an offer of 2,051,000, and the second offer was 2,050,000. I mean, it was that close. It was that close. The higher offer came in before the lower offer. So if anybody challenged us, we had the audit trail, and that's what it gives. That's what it gives to the market. So
I think what's so important in the South African market is historically you've had the funds trading properties between each other and never allowing the outside market really a look into those properties. And I think the demand from shareholders for transparency has shifted, and that's what our platform does. It gives those funds a platform which they can ensure they get the best offer. And then not only the other funds would participate, but some other, very high net worth individuals or corporates.
I'm going to finish myself on one thing for you, actually, which I think is quite helpful, because I don't know, of course, the people who are looking, and this will be available on, you'll be able to send this out to your various clients as and when as a recording, guys. Probably the biggest compliment so far to the SAPX system in South Africa is a phone call I received a few weeks ago from one of your competitors asking if they could have the same thing. And this is one of the biggest agencies in South Africa. So I think that shows that people know that you've got something special. And the other thing is that if people may well try and emulate, I mean, you would have thought somebody may well try to, it will take them a considerable amount of time. So if people want to sell properties in the next 12 months, there is no one who can market properties in South Africa or execute in the way you guys can.
Yeah, I think if I can finish, just everyone is aware that SAPX has taken as in the process of taking the remainder of the PIC portfolio that they want to dispose of to market. We've just closed on the second phase, and I think I'm able to say that on the amount of properties that we took to market, which I think is a total of 45 or 50 properties, we have had in excess of 250 offers on those properties. It's unheard of. It really is unheard of to have that type of interest in properties. And I think one of the key things, and we were not laughed at, but we said that, we were told, and it indeed was a very difficult transaction base to work from because these properties have acted on it. But the real key to it, and what I've seen is that if a property has not been to market before, SAPX does the job the best. Where a property has been marketed and potentially gone to auction and all of that sort of thing, it's very difficult for SAPX to improve on what has already been there. So that, I think, is the one enormous advantage of the PIC portfolio, is that it was virgin property to the market. And as I say, we shot the lights out.
Can I actually give you some interesting feedback on that? In the UK, we are only too pleased to take on properties that other people can't sell, and we sell them all the time because they don't have the depth of marketing. And so we never, you see, in the old days, property would get tainted by being in the market. But what you have to remember now is that the investor base is worldwide. You've got 7 billion people to sell to.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a different. So what you find is that, in the old days, you're quite right. It was all sold, as you said, PJ, it was sold between the funds, one fund to another. So if it didn't sell, it got tainted. Today, that has just completely changed. Certainly for us,